there been any huge cast updates for the movie? Yes! As Vanya knows, because I've been torturing her all day long, there are a bazillion cast updates, but I am unfortunately not allowed to talk about them. So I know that is like the least helpful answer in the world, but they have been auditioning for all of the parts, a ton of people. They're auditioning over 100 actors just for Magnus this week. Okay. So they did auditions for Alec and Simon already, also Izzy. Now they're doing Magnus. Then they're going to do Valentine and Jocelyn and the rest of them. So, I mean, there's a ton going on. There's a big casting meeting on Thursday. I had a Skype call with them on Friday. We went through headshots. So it's all really exciting. There's lots of stuff happening. But unfortunately, if I said anything, they would send someone to tell me. But back me up. Except now they're going to come and tell me. But you can say that it's true. Yes, it's true. I've been talking our ear off about it all day. All right, waving back and forth. Yes.
What advice do you have for a young author like myself?
Well, I would say that if you're really serious about it and being an author is what you want, you should consider it like a secondary job from the get-go. And you should think, you should set yourself a word count every day. I mean, in the same way that like people go to the gym and they lift a little bit more weight every day, start with something small. Start like 100 words a day. And write, just write. Doesn't matter what about. You know, short story, novel, different stories, it's okay. But the worst thing you can do is just want to be a writer and not actually do the writing. But if you do a little bit every day, it doesn't seem so scary, the big blank page that you have to fill. So just think of just 100 words, and at the end of the year, you'll have a couple of short stories or half of a novel. And if you hadn't written anything, you wouldn't have anything at all. And it teaches you also, it trains your brain to write every day and just to be used to that. You get into that space and it's much easier. So, I mean, that is my advice. Let's just take this once.
Out of all your published books so far, which one are you most proud of?
Oh boy, of books I've published so far, which one am I the most proud of? Oh God, it's really hard to say. I love them for different things about them, and hate them for different things about them. But Clockwork Prince just won the Children's Book Council. Yay! And that was a big honor, so I'm pretty proud of that. Okay, you guys are like over there. So, yes. Wait, with the white hair. No, you were. Yes. So I was just wondering, I know you came up with the idea of the Mortal Instruments series, and just what caused you to think of the idea of having a spin-off series? Was there anything that sparked your interest in that? You mean like in Carmel Devices specifically? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I liked about the idea, I mean, of the Mortal Instruments when I came up with it was coming up with the world of magic system. I just felt like, you know, they'd been around for such a long time. They were all over the world. There were so many different stories you could tell in that universe. And I was in London. I was promoting City of Bones, the British publication, and I was walking over Blackfriars Bridge, which is a very important bridge for Tessa, if you remember Clockwork Angel, and I was sort of looking out. It was a misty day, and I was thinking about what writers usually think about, which is, you know, this bridge has been here for a long time, and it'll be here long after all of us are dead. And, you know, they like to think about certain things like that. And I had this mental image of a girl and a boy in like period costume, like Victorian outfits, sort of standing on the bridge and looking out over the water at night. And from one end of the bridge was coming this army of clockwork creatures that they couldn't see. It was really creepy. And I didn't know why it popped into my head particularly.
But I went home and I wrote like some notes down about it. And I just sort of mulled it over for a couple of months and thought, who is the boy, who is the girl, why are they there? You know, what are their names, what are their backgrounds? And so eventually the whole cast of sort of Infernal Devices grew and the story grew. And I went to my publisher and said, I'd like to write a prequel. And they were like, oh, like about Valentine and the Circle. And I was like, I don't know, it's like 150 years. Honestly, I'm sure you're very excited about that. And they were like, oh my God. But I was happily enough, they got on board when they saw the book and they were very supportive of it. So, and I'm excited to know what people
In the back.
Okay.
Go to the back.
All the way back here. Me? Yeah.
Okay. So how did you first get your ideas for like the City of Bones, and like how did you continue like writing it and make it into a series?
I mean, I got the idea for City of Bones. I was in a tattoo shop with a friend of mine, and she was showing me the tattoos she had designed. She's actually the person who designs all the rune tattoos that like come with the charms and whatever, and are the basis for the designs on the fronts of the books. And she was showing me her designs looked a little bit like that, and explaining to me about the history of tattoos, that people had worn them for hundreds of years into battle, believing that they would make them extra strong, extra brave, extra impervious to harm. And so I started thinking about what would a race of people be like for whom this actually worked, for this magic worked for them. How would that work? How would you create the kind of magic that, you know, that worked through tattoos? What kind of creature would you fight? What would you know, what's your purpose? And so, you know, it was like a world building game that became the Shadowhunters, and then of course there was the incest idea. And it just, you know, grew into a story, and then I knew I wanted it to be a trilogy from the beginning. And then it became okay, right here. Right here. Alright, wait, you're in a black jacket, white shirt. Close that out.
Okay, I'm very excited to come on and read this book. I have to know, without spoiling anything, what do we have to look forward to for the next one?
Okay, wait, Vanya, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm very excited to come on and read this book. I want to know what not spoilery or freak things you can give out that we're going to look forward to for the next one.
Okay, so you finished City of Lost Souls.
No, I said when I'm done.
Oh, when you're done. So you haven't finished it, but you still want to know what's going to happen in the next one. All right, I'll try to think of a way to phrase this that's non-spoilery. I mean, there is sort of a promise made at the end of City of Lost Souls that something is going to happen. It's going to happen.
That's funny. That's a good answer.
There's going to be, I mean, you know, City of Lost Souls is a book that sets up a very big war. And a very big war is coming, and that's going to involve the whole world of Shadowhunters, and it's going to have repercussions for them for many, many years into the future. And at least one of our main characters is going to die. If I wasn't an author, what would I be doing now? Reading Cassidy. If I wasn't an author, what would I be doing? Yeah, I'd probably be a vet or something. I really love animals. Actually, but the thing is, I would never make it through vet school. It's like even harder than med school, so forget that. I would like run a cat shelter. I would just collect cats. It'd be very sad. It's a good thing that didn't happen. Over there, you guys?
Hi, I want to thank you for calling on me first. Second, I was wondering what made you want to expand the trilogy into a 6-book series?
When I was writing Mortal Instruments, I was approached by a graphic novel company that asked me if I'd like to do a spin-off series of Mortal Instruments as graphic novels. And I really love graphic novels. So I was excited about the idea, and I took a couple of months and I wrote out a really detailed script for the graphic novels, what was going to happen after the Mortal Instruments, that kind of focused on Simon, but all the other characters were in it. And then the graphic novel deal fell through. The company went out of business. And so I was like, well, I have this whole script and this whole story, and I've left all these loose ends at the end of City of Glass specifically so that they could pick up in the graphic novel, and now that's never going to happen. So I could try to sell this to a different graphic novel company, or what I have here really is the outline for another 3 books. And I was like, I was just going to write them as books. I went to my publisher and was like, I have this, I gave them the graphic novel scripts and was like, this is the next trilogy. What do you think? And they were like, great, okay, we're just going to do it as 6 books. So that's how that happened.
Pick me! Thank you!
I'm kind of getting out. Wide open.
Are there any incidents in my life that caused the storyline of the characters? That makes it sound like I'm only a great trauma. Like, a terrible thing happened to you that you write about, like really terrible stuff. I mean, I think that, all writers draw on their personal experience and composite it to create, their stories. We also just use a whole lot of imagination and things that have never happened to us. Things we would like to happen to us, things we would not like to happen to us, things that we think are interesting, things we run across in stories, in film, in documentaries, in literature. Whatever you create, there is a sort of a hodgepodge of your own imagination. So there are definitely pieces of things in the books I can point to and go, that story comes from a specific incident in my life. Definitely. But then there are other things that are absolutely unrelated to me.
Well, in the City of Fallen Angels, my favorite thing was Simon and Jason's whole bromance thing. I love that. In the first book, you wouldn't ever see it coming. Is there going to be more of that at all?
The question is, so City of Fallen Angels, your favorite thing was Simon and Jason's romance. Yeah. And you want to film more of it.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have romance in City of Blossoms, but that is for a very good reason. Jason's very busy having a romance with somebody else. Pretty cool with his romance. But yeah, in City of Heavenly Fire, there's Simon and Jason are back off